Okay, what a great day we've had. It is October 10th, 2024, and this is the meeting for the zoning board. So welcome. Pledge allegiance. Ready? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dan, you want to start?
They tell you to speed that.
Hey, I was there, you weren't.
I didn't have to be.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, with respect to appeal number 2023-056 for Tullio Bertoli, 67 Holly Tree Lane, Jamesport, Suffolk County Tax Map 600-69-3-63.3 in Residence B80 zoning. I move that the appeal of Tullio Bertoli, originally granted November 9, 2023, with an expiration of November 9, 2024, be extended for the period of 1 year, thus expiring on November 9, 2025, for variances and/or relief from Chapter 301-29A1C, where proposed accessory side yard setback is 13 foot and the minimum required is 20 foot, in Chapter 301-31, where the proposed impervious lot coverage is 17.6% and the maximum allowed is 15%.
Okay, I second that. Mr. Bruschetta?
Aye.
Mr. Zawiski?
Aye.
Mr. Barnes?
Aye.
And I grant aye, so the extension has been granted. Thank you. Heather?
Okay, we will be going a little bit out of order on the agenda today. So first, we will be taking appeal number 2024-028, Markella Malice Family Trust, 86 2nd Street, Jamesport, Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-92-2-38, Residence B40 zoning for a proposed minor subdivision. Applicant requests variances and/or relief from Chapter 301-17, where proposed lot area for Lot 1 is 21,776 square feet, minimum required is 40,000 square feet, where proposed lot width for Lot 1 is 107.58 feet, and the minimum required is 150 feet, where proposed maximum impervious surface coverage for Lot 1 is 21.1%, and the maximum permitted is 15%, where proposed lot area for Lot 2 is 25,567 square feet, and the minimum required is 40,000 square feet, and where proposed lot width for Lot 2 is 82.28 feet, and the minimum required is 150 feet. Oh, thank you.
I would say.
You attorney, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Please state your name and address.
Yes, my name is, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Armentano. I'm an attorney with Farrell Fritz, 100 Motor Parkway, Hauppauge, New York. Representing the applicant. The mother owns the property. Mr. Perry Malice is here if there are any questions that you may have, but this is a function of what his family will want to do with the property. So as you heard from the call of the meeting, we're looking for a minor subdivision. I provided the board with a little more information on our application, the booklets. I could take you through them rather quickly. The first exhibit is a site location map. The property is located at 82 2nd Street in Jamesport. There, Exhibit 2 is a Suffolk County GIS aerial showing the subject property, which is significantly oversized for the character of the community, and we'll discuss a little bit of that as part of our variance application. But you'll see the existing home, which is to remain on Lot 1, and the proposal is to build a new home for Mr. Malice's family on the adjoining lot, which would be Lot 2. As you can see, there is a circular access point to the property where there's a detached garage. So the proposal, as we get through the presentation, is to utilize both curb cuts to the extent practicable. So we're not going to be changing the curb cuts here in any dramatic way, but it's going to lead straight back to the two homes. Exhibit 3 is a street shot of the subject property with the house, the hedges, and the access point for the driveway for the house. The second photograph is the access of the circular driveway to the rear, which has the garage, which is to be demolished as part of this proposed application. The other photographs are just other photographs of the existing house and the subject property. Exhibit 4 is a photograph of the property to the south, which is also on 2nd Street. It is a modest home in that location. To the east is the surrounding property owner, which is a larger lot, but the house is situated centrally on that lot. Exhibit, we're still in 4, is a photograph of the west, which shows the small post office as well as the house that is immediately behind it. And that's basically the subject property and its surroundings. Exhibit 5 is a plan you have, which was submitted as part of this application. It does show the configuration and proposed layout of the existing home, which will remain, and the proposed new home, which is sitting in the envelope that we are proposing that the house be built. So you can see the dash line shows the building envelope according to the code. We have superimposed where the where the footprint of the building would be if this application was granted. Exhibit 6 is a Suffolk County tax map, which I think does speak to the character of the community. What we've done here is we've colorized this tax map. The blue is the subject property. The reddish orange are subject properties which have approximately a half builder's acre. So it's a 20-acre, 20,000 square foot property. There are approximately 35 of these in the immediate vicinity. Some of them are abutting the subject property. So the character of this area, although it appears to have been upzoned, I think the historic development of this property was for a much smaller lot size, and this exhibit does depict that. And again, there are approximately 70 home sites in the immediate vicinity of the subject property, which have a square footage of approximately 10,000 square feet. So what we are proposing is definitely within the character of the community. We are proposing lot sizes which are larger than most and in kind with many. So the other exhibit, pull-out exhibit there does show the subject property as well as the superimposed tax map lines, which shows the plethora of small-sized lots as well as 20,000 square foot lots. We are seeking the equivalent of what is in the community as it currently stands. Exhibit 7 is something you may have in your record, but we wanted to make it part of the record. We were before the planning board back in July, and this is their staff report to the planning board. I'll just draw your attention to the last paragraph on the first page and the last sentence. It does say that the surrounding area consists of developed single-family residences within lots of similar scale to those being considered as part of this application. And then if you page through it, there's a very nice aerial photograph indicating the subject property, again showing the character of the community. This has also pictures of the subject property, and it does a list of variances that were previously set at the beginning of the meeting. Again, this was the subject of a planning board meeting where it was recommended that a neg deck be adopted. That neg deck was adopted, so we are operating, although it is an unlisted action, we do have a neg deck from the planning board for this proposed action. And then in addition, just for the record, Exhibit 8 is an approval that was granted by this board on September 12th of 2024. It's not in the immediate location. It's more near the Northville stacks, the oil tanks. But the grant of this application was appeal number 2021 of 04, and the grant of the variances here was for similarly undersized lots. These were at 12,000 and 8,000. That community has a very small footprint, so the grant of this board, this also was in the 1 acre zoning, but a grant was granted by this board very recently. And then something very similar that was granted is Exhibit 9. This was for a two-lot subdivision, appeal number 2024 of 01 for the property located at 196 South Jamesport Avenue. A very similar application is also very close to this subject property, so I think it speaks to this board's balancing of the equities in terms of the 5-point test. Again, our variances are minimal and minor in terms of their substantial nature. Again, according to the state, the balancing test under state law, as I'm sure you're well familiar with, this is not going to create an undesirable change in the character of the community. It is very much in keeping with the character of the community and is actually bringing this house into something that would fit perfectly in this area. Again, the benefits of the applicant cannot be achieved by any other feasible means. It really is a family property that is being subdivided so that the children of the subject property owner can remain on the property. As I said, Mr. Malice is here. He will be, in some time, inheriting this property as well, so we're looking to subdivide it now. His sister is going to remain in the existing house, and Mr. Malice will be living in the proposed new structure. They're keeping it in the family, which I think is a very nice thing to do. Again, the relief here is not substantial when you consider the character of the community and the variances that this board has previously granted. Again, this will not result in any physical or environmental impact. We are not changing the curb cuts, and again, this is in my opinion, a type 2 action, but in any event, it has a neg deck from the planning board, so again, no environmental impacts will occur from this. And again, as we know, this is a self-created hardship, but as the board is aware, that should not be weighed to the detriment of the applicant. I can answer any questions you may have. Mr. Malice is here as well.
Question. I just have one. I just want to, you said that the curb cuts aren't going to change, so the concept driveway that's on the, I'll say the vacant lot at this point in time, that's nothing more than a concept, that's no longer going to go forward?
I think the design here is to utilize the existing curb cut for the existing house, and then a portion, the horseshoe, that curb cut will be removed, but we're going to be coming in, or we can put it wherever you'd like, but I think the idea here is we're not adding to any of the curb cuts here. There are 2 curb cuts on the property. But according to the concept plan, you are correct, the driveway entry is south of the existing horseshoe.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure, because it sounded like you weren't changing the curb cuts. You're not changing the number of curb cuts.
Correct, I may have misspoken on that point. Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So, if I could, Mr. Armentano, your firm submitted a lot of information ahead of time that was provided to all members of the zoning board, and they reviewed it. And Heather, if you would just give that laundry list.
Sure. So in addition to the fully executed zoning board application, they provided a copy of the denial letter, the EAF, the entire chain of title, the subdivision maps, and they also included resolution number 2024-048, which was the planning board secret resolution, which issued a negative declaration and allowed them to proceed with the zoning board application.
So I see on the plan there's a garage on lot 2.
Yes.
Is that going to be removed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you can't have a accessory structure without a principal.
Understood. Correct. We are demolishing it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the note is TBR, which I'm assuming is to be removed. Same for the shed that's there as well.
Anyone else?
I see on the survey it says concept house, building, or whatever. Do they meet the current setbacks now, or are you going to actually move the house around?
No, we're meeting the setback.
Speak at the mic, sir.
You're gonna meet
I'll
the
answer.
setbacks?
Yes, we are. We just have lot width and lot area issues.
That we're going to resolve now.
Correct. We will.
But then you may need to come back if you design a house and put it on the lot. But you'll deal with that then?
But I think, and I may be speaking ahead of what I hope I'm going to hear, is that we are proposing a compliant location of the new home to not require setbacks
So you're
from.
going to stay in the building envelope?
That is correct,
proposed?
yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
And how are you making out with the health department on this one? I'm curious. Have you been to the health department? Have you made an application?
Maybe speak to this, because I'm not aware of it.
Please. Oh, he's gonna talk to him. That's good.
Please,
It's on page 5 of the staff.
So again, we are at the half-acre mark, so sanitary approval should be forthcoming. I mean, we'll have to go to them for health department approval, subject to this board, of course, so we know where we're putting things. But yes.
I was just more curious to see how the health department's going to handle it. That's all.
Is there anybody on Zoom?
We don't have anyone on Zoom.
No one.
Anyone from the audience?
Anyone in the audience like to speak? All right, who has this?
I have it. Okay, and just before I do it, I appreciate the completeness of the package. It was a really nice package, so thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, with respect to appeal number 2024-028, I move that the appeal of the Markella Malice Family Trust, 86 Second Street, Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-92-2-38, and residence B40, RB40 zoning for variances and/or relief from Town Code Chapter 301-17, where proposed lot area for Lot 1 is 21,776 square foot, and the minimum required is 40,000 square foot, where proposed lot width for Lot 1 is 107.58 inches, and the minimum required is 150 foot, where the proposed maximum impervious surface for Lot 1 is 21.1%, the maximum permitted is 15%, where the proposed lot area for Lot 2 is 25,567 square foot, the minimum required is 40,000 square foot, where the proposed lot width for Lot 2 is 82.28 foot, the minimum required is 150 foot, be granted subject to the following conditions. 1, subject to such Suffolk County Health Department approval. 2, the garage on the proposed Lot 2 must be removed and the shed as pursuant to Town Code. You may not have an accessory structure without a principal use. 3, the future development of Lots 1 and Lot 2 shall meet the defined dimensional requirements, front, side, rear, and lot coverage applicable to existing zoning district. 3, approval from the Suffolk County Health Department of Services. I think we just covered that now. Approval, and 4th and 5th, approval from the Town of Riverhead Planning Board. Note, this grant of approval by the Zoning Board of Appeals does not include approval of the building envelopes and proposed setbacks depicted in the sketch plan, and instead, to the extent required by the Planning Board upon application to the building inspector, such building envelopes and setbacks related thereto must be revised to conform to 2 above. Be granted in accordance with the applications and sketches with amendments thereto, if any, filed with the building inspector.
Second.
All right, Mr. Porsche.
Aye.
Mrs. Zawiski.
Aye.
Mr. Burns.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So your variances are granted, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen, thank you.
And I'll just give you a word of advice. If you change those curb cuts, please make certain to apply to the highway department for permits in order to do that.
They'll stay the same, once we get in, we'll make them.
Yep.
put
Okay.
to, each house.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Take
Have a
care.
wonderful day, thank you.
Oh, that was stuff, information.
Okay, so we will be taking Appeal 2024-024 next. Michael Gangler, 159 Sunset Boulevard, Wading River, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-30-2-34.3, Residence B80 zoning for a 12 by 24-foot accessory structure. Applicant requests variances and/or relief from Town Code Chapter 301-29A1B, where proposed side yard abutting side street setback is 32 feet 6 inches, where the minimum required is 60 feet, and where proposed accessory setback to dwelling is 4 feet, where the minimum required is 10 feet. This was adjourned from September 26 of 2024.
You might have been sworn in before, but we'll do it again. Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
To state your name and address?
Nicholas Zumas. I'm with Almas Construction. I'm representing the homeowner, Michael Gangler. My office address is 263 Route 25A, Wading River, New York, 11792. From what the last meeting, from what I was told, the accessory structure had been finished, and he was required to go and apply for building permit to legalize that structure, which he has done. And we were awaiting the board's decision.
And I can confirm, I have a receipt from the building department for legalization of, it was the former garage that is labeled as frame building on the survey. So he did apply and pay the permit fee for the legalization of that structure.
So that's still pending?
Correct.
It's not yet, no CO has been approved, but it's filed,
He's made progress.
yes.
Anybody on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Anything else here?
No.
All right, who has this?
Really made you come and do this?
He
Okay.
just wanted to be safe because the homeowner couldn't be here.
Were they scared? Doing okay, Nick?
Yeah,
Good to see you.
how are you? Good to see you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, with respect to appeal number 2024024, I move that the appeal of Michael Gangler, 159 Sunset Boulevard, Wading River, STM number 600-30-2-34.3, Residence B80, RB80 zoning, for variances and/or relief from the Town Code, Chapter 301-29A, 1B, where proposed side yard abutting side street setback is 32 feet 6 inches, where the minimum required is 60 feet, and where proposed accessory setback to dwelling is 4 feet, where the minimum required is 10 feet, be granted subject to the following conditions: removal of the driveway on South Road, certificate of occupancy legalizing alterations made to 14.3 feet times 22.3 feet accessory building, formerly a detached garage, per CO number 6855 dated July 9th, 1986, in accordance with the applications and sketches with amendments thereto, if any, as filed with the building inspector.
I second.
Mr. Porsche?
Aye.
Mr. Zawiski?
Aye.
Mr. Barnes?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so the variance has been granted. Good
Thank
luck.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, and our last appeal of the night, appeal number 2024-016, CAV 896 LLC, 896 Old Country Road, Riverhead, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-108-3-24, Business Center zoning for a parking stall variance. Applicant requests variances and/or relief from Chapter 301-94B1, where site has 77 parking spaces provided, and the spaces required by square foot of occupancy is 118. This was remanded to the planning board and is now back before the zoning board.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Please state your name and address.
Sure, Bram Weber, Weber Law Group, 290 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 200E, Melville, New York, for the applicant.
So this is your first time as far as a presentation, so good luck.
Thank you so very much. It's good to see you all again. Yes, as you recall, we were here in July to ostensibly start this hearing. At the time, council had issued a requirement that we go to the planning board. I may have had a disagreement at the time, but ultimately we went to the planning board, and that issue had to do with covenants and restrictions that had been placed on the property previously when the property was converted to a medical building. Planning board had put covenants and restrictions on regarding certain requirements for off-site employee transportation. Those proved never to be necessary. The nature of this building is it's a cancer community center. What it does is it takes blood tests, gives chemotherapy treatments, and does a lot of imaging work. And the imaging work requires large equipment, which takes up a lot of the square footage. So ultimately, this building never really has needed the amount of parking that it has. So at council's requirement, we went to the planning board. We sat here with the planning board. Within 30 seconds, they completely understood the situation quite clearly, that the parking demand isn't there for this particular use. they approved the removal of those covenants and restrictions. So those were removed, Liber 13265, page 959. Those were recorded on September 25th, 2024. So those covenants and restrictions no longer apply to the property. So we are here now to seek our parking variance. But what that delay between July and now enabled us to do was go back and actually study the property again. So we originally had a parking study that's part of the record that Osmond Barry from Nelson and Pope performed, and the data was from 2023. And the reason why, and I think it's really important that board and council should know this, when the property owner called me and said, we want to take some of the vacant space, which isn't helping anybody, about 3,100 square feet, and just expand the use for the cancer medical services, I said, we're not going to go to the zoning board unless we can prove that we don't need the parking. I'm not going to go here with a case that shouldn't be here. So Osmond went, took the parking counts in 2023, and it proved that there was a significant underutilization of the parking lot. That was part of the study. And then because I realized that there was a lapse of time prior to that hearing in July, I went out, as did one of my colleagues. We're certainly not traffic engineers, we're not qualified, we're just lawyers. But we went and both did spot counts, and our spot counts were exactly on par with what Osmond had found in his initial review in 2023. But again, having had the time to go to the planning board, we asked Osmond, and Osmond thought it was a good idea to go out and count again. So he did that. So we have a revised parking study, if I may submit that for the record. And Osmond's certainly here to speak to that report. That shows clearly that not only is the parking underutilized now, but the simple expansion of the cancer community care use into an additional 3,100 square feet will have no impact, no negative impact on the property, and the property itself can quite well handle the increased parking demand. Look, needless to say, having a cancer care community center in the community is important. As a cancer patient myself, having access to a community facility like this, as I have in Comac with Sloan Kettering, is important. To not have to go to hospitals for appointments such as this. It's a very simple application. It's 3,100 square feet for that particular use itself. That use tends to be a lower driver of traffic and parking, and it's well supported by the data.
So can I interrupt you?
Sure.
Could you, is it your position that an oncology cancer center is different from a typical medical office with respect to traffic generation?
So it's an interesting question, and to your point, thank you very much, Council, because I think it's in the report. It was mentioned to us from planning that there was another medical office, a dermatology office, that seems to generate a lot of traffic, or not traffic, excuse me, generate parking in and around that building where people may be parking off-site. So we actually studied that site and put it in this report, and Osmond, again, could speak to it better than me. He's the expert, I'm not. But that's a much smaller site in a residential area that has very few parking spaces. This is completely different. But just to answer your specific question, the answer is yes. This particular use is just a less drive. It's not high turnover. If you go in, again, imaging can take 45 minutes, an hour. You can be there if you're doing blood. Again, unfortunately, I have all this experience myself. If you're doing blood tests and imaging, you can be there for some time. So there's not a lot of turnover. So yes, this use would be somewhat different.
So the typical treatment for the patient, rather than a dermatologist, even a dentist, is generally longer in time.
Correct.
Could be hours.
Correct.
Okay.
But if you'd like, I'd like to have Osmond get up and speak a little bit about, just to put on the record, his findings from his report. Good, Osmond? Good. So I just want to mention one thing. Osmond has testified here before as an expert. He's been before the zoning board before. He's a professional engineer. He's a professional traffic operations engineer. He's a certified professional transportation planner, and he's also the senior project manager at Nelson and Pope.
Welcome. It's been a long time, maybe since we've seen you last, but please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and your address.
My name is Osborne Barry with the farms Nelson and Pope at 70 Maxis Road in Melville, New York.
Pull the mic down just a little.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Nelson and Pope was retained to conduct a parking assessment to predict the existing and future parking demand of the medical offices at 896 Old Country Road in Riverhead, New York. Currently, the facility consists of 2 medical offices and a total of 3,169 square feet of vacant space. The applicant is proposing to convert the vacant space to a medical office. Based on the town code, the fully occupied medical office facility will require 118 parking spaces, and the plan depicts a total of 77 parking spaces provided. Therefore, we are requesting a parking variance for 41 parking spaces. In support of our request for the parking variance, we collected parking counts at the facility on Tuesday, September 12, 2023, and we went back in 2024, Tuesday, August 20, 2024, Wednesday, August 21, 2024, and Thursday, August 22, 2024. So we collected 4 days worth of data from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in 30-minute intervals. These times were selected to cover the hours of operation of the facility. In addition to this count, we did do several spot checks to make sure our data is correct. Our data show that typically the current peak parking demand of the facility is 50 spaces, 65% occupied. That's the maximum number of cars that were parked on the site during the times we went there. This equates to 27 vacant parking stalls during the peak period. During the worst condition, we have at least 27 parking spaces vacant. Based on the town code, the 3,169 medical office space will require 22 parking spaces based on the code. Therefore, the 29 vacant stalls that we do see during the peak is adequate to meet the parking demand by code for the proposed medical office. Based on our observation and analysis, it is my professional opinion that the 77 spaces provided will be adequate to satisfy the parking demand of the fully occupied medical office facility existing and proposed. I will gladly answer any questions that you may have on this application.
Guys have any questions?
I have a few.
Sure.
So based upon your analysis, did you consider the type of medical use when conducting your traffic study?
Yes, we did.
And can you give some information regarding that to the board?
I can say this kind of facility is an average, when you consider medical offices, this type of use is an average, have an average parking demand as compared to others. Some are less, some are more. And like Bram mentioned, we did do a parking count at the existing dermatology facility at 968 Roanoke Avenue. We did parking count there during the same time period we did the parking count at this site. And we did find the following. This site has only 9 parking spaces, the one we counted. There was enough parking for the most part, but there's some time periods where we had parking issues because they had 2 spaces that are handicapped parking spaces. So when you have like 3 spaces available, people decide to park on the street. But we did also figure out the parking provided on this site based on the requirement by code. The use is 2,400 square feet and is providing only 9 spaces. When you do the math based on the requirement, that site is actually providing 1 space for 267 square feet, which is way less than the proposed structure that we're talking about. In this structure, it is 1 space per 226 square feet. So yes, it's a smaller structure, less parking based on the required parking. That's why we have that issue. And also, it is in a residential neighborhood that is not similar to where we have in this on Old Country Road.
So in addition to this new proposed cancer treatment center, adding an additional 3,169 square feet, there's additional square footage remaining in the building. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, there's about another 1,500 square feet.
Okay, so when you did your traffic calculations, did you calculate any parking spaces if that use was to be used for medical offices, whether or not oncology or otherwise?
It's not part of our proposal.
Okay,
So that is remaining vacant.
okay. So, another question and/or issue. In going through your report and your calculations did not match the square footages provided in the planning staff report. In other words, for the pro healthcare, according to the approvals issued by the planning board and building department, that square footage is not 69,445 square feet, it's 7,147 square feet. With respect to Peconic Bay Center Northwell Medical Office, you have it listed as 7,327 square feet, when in fact the approval was for 7,740 square feet. So all those calculations and the number of cars that you recite appear to be off. Even accepting your arguments as true, those numbers are off.
So I can explain why. We worked with the planning department very closely to calculate areas of the building that were actually being used. I don't know why they were calculated the way they were previously, but we specifically worked with the planning department and had them approve the way we were calculating the usable square footage here for these parking counts.
Okay.
For that reason.
Right. And zoning board and council for zoning board are simply going off the written staff report that was provided to us.
From the previous approval.
No, this is a recent staff report issued by the planning board and provided to all members of the zoning board of appeals.
Okay, so yeah, I again, can't answer that question, but can specifically, just, to give you your assurance, when we sat with the planning department in making our application, we said, these are our floor plans, these are the areas that are actually used for the medical offices. I'm not talking about a hallway or other places that are not actually in use. We reached a good agreement with the planning department as to how to calculate the square footage. And that's why the plans were filed as they were.
Okay. Question for council. I watched the planning board proceedings. Did you make an offer of mitigation to the planning board?
Yeah, that was, yes, and I'm happy you brought that up again. I think that's as a way to allay any concerns regarding the parking here in medical, as you've raised, counsel. We certainly said that as a condition, we would accept as a condition of approval to come back to this board if the medical use changed, so that we could have another discussion, bring back Osmond, provide more data, so that if it does become a pediatrician's office, for example, which may have higher turnover, that we would come back and seek a further approval from this board.
And did that offer of mitigation include the 2019 planning board approval for the Peconic Bay Medical Center Medical Office, 7,740 square feet, and the proposal here for 3,169.
Yes, I think the concept being as follows, right? The building is being used for cancer care. The expansion space is going to be used for cancer care. If the building were to convert to a different use. Now, it's an interesting point as to how much, right? If someone's going to take 1,500 square feet and turn that into a different medical use, would we have to come back? I think maybe there's a certain threshold that we could agree to, but the concept, the ownership is certainly willing to be flexible and work with the board on some reasonable condition regarding the conversion, if that is of a concern to the board members, to any other medical use.
Are you authorized on behalf of is Peconic Bay going to operate the additional 3,169 square feet?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So are you authorized on behalf of Peconic Medical to make that offer of mitigation?
I'm authorized on behalf of the property owner, which would be the appropriate
Okay.
entity, yeah.
Okay. So I'm sure you understand, it's significant if you made the offer of mitigation to the planning board, why the zoning board of appeals can't condition your use. So, but what the zoning board can do is accept the offer of mitigation that you've already outlined to the planning board. They can accept it and utilize it for their determination.
Certainly, sure. Again, we're just trying to do the right thing by everybody when it comes to what they may be concerned about. So that is certainly something that that we were willing to offer to the planning board and offer here as well.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is your offer of mitigation, if the cancer uses change to a different use, be it another medical use, you would offer that and self-impose that you would go back before the planning board and or go back to the zoning board for relief. In other words, the change of medical use would trigger you going back to the planning board and or seeking whatever relief may be required.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, I would just ask for just a reasonable consideration for how much it would change. That would be the only thing. Again, if a small portion of the building is going to change, it may not be necessary.
So, do you need a period of time to think about that and put that together? Because, you know, it's not clear now.
Okay, so I think if we could just focus then on the 3,000 square feet, I would say if 3,000 square feet or higher. So that we could just focus on, the space now that's being, because we have the data that shows that as without the 3,000 square feet, we have plenty of parking. We show that with 3,000 square feet of additional cancer care use, we have the ability to have enough parking capacity. So if we even use the 3,000 square foot number, I think that's something that's, I think, even more than reasonable.
Well, the issue becomes, you would agree, in the 2019 approval, it provided for a off-site parking agreement with transportation and a covenant reciting that. True?
That is correct.
Okay. And that was never done by the applicant.
Correct, it was never needed.
So the planning board gave you the ability to extinguish that and come before this board.
Correct.
So the issue regarding the parking related to the 2019 proposal for the oncology office, 7,740 square feet, is really very applicable to this board still, because it wasn't addressed in 2019 and it was left open. And the reason, and I think you acknowledged in the beginning, that you went back to the planning board and the planning board allowed you to rescind that was allowing you to come back before this board because the zoning board of appeals could not have had any authority to modify covenants and restrictions imposed by the planning board.
Correct. That's exactly what we did.
Right. So I
You
think
required.
diluting the offer of mitigation to not include the 2019 square footage is really not much of an offer of mitigation. I mean, again, none of the zoning board of members of the zoning board of appeals nor myself were part of the planning board application. So perhaps we should adjourn and that matter ironed out with planning. And of course, I would be willing to sit and participate. So the zoning board would have a clear direction regarding what your offer of mitigation is, to allow them to consider that mitigation in this proceeding.
I'll make it easier.
Okay.
We can, my offer to have a reasonable amount of square footage to convert, not necessary.
Okay. So your offer, you're offering mitigation.
That's what it was 5 minutes ago.
Right. Your offer of mitigation to the planning board and now recited to the zoning board, your offer, correct, is that in the event that the existing Peconic Bay Cancer Center, 7,740 square feet, and the proposed addition, 3,169, if though proposed also for an expansion of and related to oncology and cancer treatment, if either use changes and changes to even a different medical use other than the oncology cancer treatment, you would agree that it would require resubmission to planning board and potentially zoning board of appeals.
Yes.
And that with that mitigation measure, the zoning board could appropriate condition of parking variance related to the use, and that's the relief you're requesting.
Yes.
We close it tonight? Can we vote on it tonight?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So what are we doing here?
We gotta come up with a resolution.
Yeah, do you have it?
It's not written up, but.
It's an adventure.
It's okay.
I left it blank.
Here's
And for the record, there's no one on Zoom, and there's no one on
I was zooming, right? Anyone want to speak? There's no one who's raising their hand, so let's keep going.
May I read it, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
Okay. Appeal number 2024-016. The appeal of CAV 896 LLC, 896 Old Country Road, Riverhead, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-108-3-24, Business Center, BC zoning, for variance and/or relief from Chapter 301, 94B1, where site has 77 parking spaces provided, spaces required by square foot of occupancy is 118, be approved, subject to the offer of mitigation by the applicant to be accepted by the planning board, wherein a change in the oncology cancer treatment uses for the medical office approved subject to site plan in 2019, and the proposed expansion of the oncology cancer treatment, 3,169 square feet, be limited to that type of medical use, and that any change of medical use would require applicant to seek site plan approval and/or relief as appropriate based upon, quote, such other medical uses or such other different uses, be it retail or anything else.
So moved.
Second? Second. Mr. Prosciutto?
Aye.
Excuse me. Porsche. Get out of here. Mr. Porsche?
Aye.
Mr. Zaweski?
Aye.
Mr. Barnes?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so you are granted, and good luck, and just do the right thing so we don't see you again.
Thank you very
Thank
much. Doing the right thing, trying. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
We had minutes.
Huh?
We have minutes, don't we?
Minutes?
Yes, we're just breathing right now.
Good night.
Have a good one.
Good night.
Good night.
Give us the date of the minutes. that you-
September 26th of
May I
2024.
have a motion to approve those minutes?
Aye. It's
All
made.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Uh,
And
Next meeting date is October 24th of 2024. We have no new appeals, though,
okay,
so,
we'll have to decide what we do that. Maybe we'll have a barbecue or something. Can I have a motion for adjournment?
So, made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
All right.